Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim or Simnaya, and thank you all so much for the love and support. So, I came across this video of a Mexican American young man who was asking, why is it that black people are asking him if it is safe to visit Mexico, right? And so he said that, I mean, like, you are asking the wrong question that you are not even supposed to ask, like, how black people are being treated in Mexico and all that. I mean, like, you just have to come and visit that. So he went further to say that there is no sundown town and there is no Confederate flag and where, like, all those things like black people experience and all that. So he is trying to let us know that you cannot see all of that in United States, but there is something I want to let us know. The truth is that there is anti-blackness worldwide, and I do not blame anybody asking that question, like how is it to visit there, or how are black people being treated by by Mexican? But the truth is that I mean this question. I don't think a Mexican should answer this question. I think a black person or black people that already visited Mexico should be in a better position to give black people a rundown. Now, mind you, I am not trying to tell you that I mean like they are not treating black people fairly or well. But what I want us to know is that anti-blackness is just a thing, right? And everybody really need to tread with caution, right? So black people should be the ones answering, like the ones that have traveled. Let us know in the comment section. Let's get into this.
Why do black Americans keep asking me if it's safe to visit Mexico? You're a black person living in the USA. I think you're asking the wrong questions. Don't let the US propaganda get to you. We don't have sundown towns in Mexico. We don't have politicians constantly trying to gerrymander and redistribute district lines to diminish your vote. Mexico doesn't have Confederate statues in front of government buildings. Our second president ever was a black man. When did the US get their first black president? None of your neighbors in Mexico will ever call the police on you because you look suspicious. No police officer is ever going to pull you over here in Mexico because you match the description. Despite being a US citizen in the US, they will always treat you as a second-class citizen. I know that the USA has done you guys dirty for most of its history, but not every country is as messed up as the USA, guys. The worst thing that can happen to you here in Mexico is you get a stomach ache because you had a great night with great food. But anyways, instead of asking, is Mexico safe to visit? Take a look around you. But anyways, what do I know? Let me know what you guys think. Why do black Americans keep asking me if it's safe to visit Mexico? You're a black person living in the USA. I think you're asking the wrong questions. Don't let the US propaganda get to you. We don't have sundown towns.
Hi, Guatemalan here and Black American, but I don't need to be of that region to tell you why Black people do our due diligence before traveling anywhere, including to places like Mexico or Guatemala. Because there's this thing called global raciality, thus global anti-Blackness. But let's not get into the global sphere. Let's talk about Mexico specifically. And you may be thinking, why is a Guatemalan talking about Mexico? Well, there's a lot of shared histories and cultures, to keep it short. Not to mention, they are right next to each other, separated only by a nation-state border, which is a colonial abstraction. So the reality is anti-Blackness and anti-indigeneity is a part of the cultural fabric of Mexico. For those who may not know, there's this thing called the casta system, which dates back to colonial times, which positioned Black and indigenous people at the very bottom, and those legacies of that hierarchy are still alive today. How so? Well, African-descended and indigenous people in Mexico and Guatemala continue to fight for their sovereignty and equity. For example, Maya movements in Mexico are actively fighting for indigenous sovereignty, land rights, environmental protections, cultural preservation, and more. And Afro-Mexicans, who have long been marginalized and excluded from national narratives alongside indigenous groups, were officially recognized for the first time in the 2020 census. Activists have been fighting for greater representation and recognition of Afro-Mexican rights, pushing for access to basic services like access to education and healthcare in their communities. So when you tell Black Americans don't fall for the propaganda, the implication is that we're blindly believing something that is unlikely to be true. We are intelligent enough to be curious about the racial dynamics of a place prior to us traveling there, and for good reason. It seems like you may be proud of your country, and you may want to make it look like it's not a racist place. There are beautiful things, people, cultures, knowledges, etc. in Mexico, like there are in the US, like there are in Guatemala. That said, I usually remind folks of this next quote in the context of the US, but I think it may apply here too. Malcolm X said, "You're not to be so blind with patriotism that you can't face reality." Like the US, Mexico is a nation state. It's a colonial enterprise that was founded through unethical means. We have to contend with this because if you love Mexico, how could you work to improve it if you turn your gaze away from its issues? Just something to think about. I intended this to be a constructive addition to the conversation you have opened for us.
About this,
Black Americans keep asking me if it's safe to visit Mexico. But anyways, what do I know?
frankly, not enough. So he went on to pretend that racism doesn't exist in Mexico, when it was part of the makeup of Mexico. They had a system called the castas, which basically articulated every race and any variety of mixed races. And this hierarchical system, as you might notice, was tied to the color of one's skin, with fair-skinned people at the top. And this system of colorism, while not legally part of Mexican society today, definitely has an impact on how people are treated. Mexico is not a racism-free society. It's just that people like him want to pretend that it is, because he is white passing, and so it does not impact his life.
So this is all I got from this video. And sincerely speaking, asking Black people, like, why do Black people keep asking if it is safe to visit Mexico? The truth is that I am going to say this, and feel free to judge me or whatever, but it is what it is. There is anti-Blackness all over the world. Yes. And if Black person or somebody is asking how safe it is, I do not blame the person, because it is actually a cold world, right? Because we do not have that privilege of being welcome everywhere. I am not saying Mexicans are racist, right? But I am saying worldwide that we're just not being treated fairly and nicely. But that doesn't mean that my story will be the same with the other person and all that, right? But there are also some places that I know, no matter how, like if you are a Black person, these places are not just somewhere you just have to visit. Or if you decided to visit, that it's your problem. There are some places in Europe that that are, if you're just going here, whatever you see is what you take. You are being warned and being told. So do I blame anybody asking how safe is it to visit so place? I do not, because people do not care about us. People do not give a shit. It's as simple as that. They don't care, and they are not also ready to care. So I love the fact that majority of Black people are asking, is it safe for them to come over there? Because nobody wants history to repeat itself, or probably what you've been suffering and where you are from, and you decided to leave to another place, and you are also experiencing the same thing, no change and all that. So I am happy that people are asking the question. And also, I love it when people are kind of very truthful with some certain things that people are expected to experience when they come to their places and all that. The truth is that no matter how nice a place is, that doesn't mean that all our experiences are going to be the same. Some people will still come back and tell you that their experiences. Why? Even some people in Mexico do not also care about their Afro-Mexicans. Let me say it this way. They do not care about people. Yeah. So I am not going to tell you it's all 100%, but they are going to tell you to come over. But we all already know. I don't need to be explaining all this to us. We have seen it all. Have you not seen it all? What else is remaining? Where exactly are you going to go that is not anti-Black? Right? So yeah, but I love the fact that he's also trying to let you all to come over to their place. For those, I know Black people are already traveling and all that. But yeah, you all got to tread with caution, because you all already know the time. Anti-blackness is everywhere. So see you all in my next video. Bye for now.